Brush all your teeth, kill all the germs. Any tooth you don't brush will rot and fall out. Sing with me, brush all your teeth, kill all the germs. Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. And today, that was the song I was singing to my toddler, Brooklyn, who is 2.5 years old. And she's just getting excited about brushing her teeth because she wants to kill all the germs that are on her teeth. You know what? Whatever makes it work. Whatever YouTube Kids video that inspired her along those lines, my hat is off to you. And a tip of the cap to Tinygerman. As we start off today's replays, there will be 2 from our benefactor, and we've also been blessed with a beautiful this would be an anime girl skin, wouldn't it? Okay, phrasing, but Tinygerman did a gorgeous job in the style of an anime to make what is essentially, or literally, I'm not quite sure, my knowledge. I just watched the H3 video on Ty Lopez. Yeah, the one. Head on with a BF-109 and a yellow engine, yellow wing root, and the 109E himself trailing slick grease, much like Ty Lopez himself. And yet unable with 450 cals to take down the enemy BF-109. Our guy Tinygerman coming out on top, as he will do in this replay. Few people send me replays where they die in the first minute of the action, but I might have seen 1 or 2 of those. Anyway, I was talking about this gorgeous Strike Witches inspired camouflage. I know nothing about the anime, but it looks like one of those shows where somebody needs to give the girls a pair of pants. You always want to cover up your inner thigh in combat for the obvious reason that there's a lot of arterial blood flow through that area. What were you thinking of? Anyway, lack of flak protection aside, Tinygerman is going to do well in this match in an American fighter that tends to do well. Early on, it's very easy to underestimate the might of American boom and zoom fighters. The F2A3 is very forgiving of those kinds of people, but with 450 cals, 2 in the wings and 2 that sing, launching through the propeller to the tune of their synchro gear, the Buffalo is a fantastic, well-balanced fighter that you don't really see the like of in the American tree all that often. Later on in USA, aircraft start to get heavier and heavier. Their secondary armament and main gun options bulky, their pilot protection and survivability top of the line, and yet in the game of War Thunder, that added weight, even with incredible engine power, limits them to the boom and zoom role. C202, easy kill. Anyway, is that a 202? I think it is. It's a shish kebab now, or flambe. In any event, the F2A3, the pinnacle of F2 aircraft in the game of War Thunder, is a little bit of a mix between turn fighter and speedy boy at its battle rating. With a rather good maximum dive speed, you can dive on enemies. 4 American 50 cals in the aforementioned positions are a considerable amount of firepower at this tier, with the general amount of spray and pray belt length you expect out of American fighters that gives you that game-changing opportunity to just open up the throttle on enemies when it comes to being very liberal with the amount of ammunition you spray in their general direction, with each round capable of setting a fatal fire to an enemy aircraft, and together a short burst easily able to wipe out even the toughest foe. And yet F2A3 with an enemy crashing nearby for his third kill. Tinygerman barely hanging on while his engine dies. Pilot still free from damage. Not that pilot, the pilot of his fighter. Pilot submits a lot of... he has submitted a number of replays to this channel, and he tends to get featured for the majority of replays that he sends in. He's a very talented guy. But, to remind you all, Tinygerman makes custom camouflages in addition to sending in replays to Toshio Thunder. He has been active on the Discord, which you're invited to join in on the action as he goes heads up with that BF-109E, gets good hits into the engine, but himself with a black engine. And I'm thinking to myself, how is he going to survive? Well, it helps if you're 200 feet from the runway now, doesn't it? Okay, maybe a quarter mile, but still, that's pretty good. In any event, a rather rough landing snaps off his gear, because of course it does, and yet the Buffalo not terrible in a belly landing. It's sort of disturbing how few aircraft in War Thunder can survive a belly landing, but the F2A3 is one of them. Skidding just far enough to get that repair, our guy, Tinygerman, is gonna take off, and I better get back to the topic of inviting you to check out his live.War Thunder profile if you're interested in custom camos in general, and anime girls that need longer pants in specific. In any event, as I mentioned, I like Tinygerman. He seems like a cool guy. He's been talking on the Discord and sharing some things, and it's been nice getting to know him. I especially enjoy meeting other custom content creators, as I myself am a man of culture, but I'm more into like 80s and 90s anime for the most part, because that's when I had the time to watch anime. And I tend to post a lot of anime and video game camos myself. I like the style, even if my taste is different than others. In any event, that's 5 kills from Tinygerman in a tiny fighter that is an absolute gem. The F2A3 Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. Let's move on to a rather awkward looking boy. This another user generated camouflage, this time visible to players that have enabled, what does this say, historical or semi-historical camo? I think it's historical. The what would this be? I'm not quite sure. It's a desert camo. I think it's for the North Africa campaign, and I can see some unit markings on the camo itself. But what you've no doubt noticed is the Grey Poupon color scheme of this rather paint-heavy camouflage for the M4. The American M4 Sherman, a delightful medium tank, excelling in key areas in terms of firepower, fire rate, and gun stability, performing adequately, to say the least, in terms of armor for a medium tank, as Tinygerman just pounds away at this Jagdpanzer IV. In any event, I I've raved about the Sherman before, and the cast hull Sherman, while not quite my favorite, does sit at a, 3.3 battle rating, which is exceptionally competitive for the tank itself, even in the face of extreme German bias. Together with his friends, they just tore apart that Jagdpanzer. And I think we'll stay in cinematic mode if you'll hop behind me on the 50 cal here, the position of power, as it were. The only thing that's missing from this tank is the Valentine's bear. Wouldn't he look just fantastic sat there on the commander's hatch? Or is that the loader's hatch? I'm not quite sure. Who operates? I think it's the commander that operates the roof-mounted 50 on the M4, but I could be mistaken. Things pass me by pretty quickly these days. I kind of forget what I've mentioned and what I haven't. So if these replay videos seem a little bit chaotic to you, well, I apologize. And when it comes to describing the action, I feel like I've talked about some of these vehicles time and time again, but my love for the Sherman just probably shows anyway. I enjoy a lot of vehicles in the game of War Thunder, and I'm also enjoying this match that Tinygerman sent in. He's going to get a ridiculous number of kills. That shot on the move from the third-person view, incredible. I didn't even see that tank there. Another one down, and he's showing Sergeant Vitty-like skills of third-person no-scoping. Well, it was sort of a semi-scope, but like a half-scope. And excuse me, I laughed and then I started coughing because I'm just getting over this chest cold. Thanks for asking, guys. I know you're probably appreciating the fact that I sound slightly less like a swamp creature while I'm doing these replay videos. But what's that? A chi nu or a chi ha? A chi no more. As Tinygerman focuses on the KV-2, the Fist of Stalin, not enough to prevent his rounds from finding purchase against the Soviet heavy tank. The incredible almost 100 millimeters of armor penetration potential of the American AP-HE round for this Sherman 75 millimeter cannon, really showing what it can do against vehicles of a similar or slightly higher battle rating. KV-2, what is it, a 4.0 or a 4.3? I think it's a 4.3, so maximum up tier. And yet Tinygerman so much more consistently deadly in his little Sherman than Stalin's mighty muscle in the heavy tank that decided to be a heavy field gun. As the fun now, 2-on-1 and 2 shots and they're done. KV-2 by KV-2, barbecue, oh the barbecue. Bring your favorite kebabs. No grill is needed today. Stalin has provided diesel fuel and propellant charges? I almost had it. I almost had a joke there. But hot dogs courtesy of the American Army. In any event, the match winding down our time together as well, following along the same course, and still Tinygerman with many more kills yet to accomplish. Are you keeping track? Because I'm not. And because we're in cinematic mode here, I mean, how could you not? This is such beautiful footage before YouTube does whatever YouTube does to it. I think what they do is they have like a temporal compression that they add on to the regular video compression when you send them a video, and it chunks up a lot of the action shots. In any event, digitization aside, what a match. What an incredible match. My adrenaline would be pumping by this point. Whenever I have a match like this, as Tinygerman takes down foe after foe, most of them with a single shot, many while he's on the move, making you feel like the Sherman is an absolute powerhouse, which it very much has the potential to be. Every time I have a match like this, and I'm not saying I ever get as many kills as this, but when things just go so well, when you're in the thick of it and you're just deleting people again and again and again, and you feel like any moment it could happen to you, but it doesn't. I gotta step back. I mean, do you want to play another match after having such a good game? How do you follow that up? Maybe it's better that I put this replay after the first one. By the way, I really do love that the look of that custom camo he has on the F2A3. I think that there's a little bit of a spicy anime girl in the cockpit picture frame, but you know what? Boys will be boys after all. T-34 taken down, and the Sherman surely wears the crown of the victor in this match that's winding down, and yet there's more to see. What do we have here? Not quite sure, as it gets lit up by Ma Deuce and M3, and now we'll have to see if there's enemy presence still in this territory. Looking at the audio log coming up, I see a few more 75mm cannon shots coming your way. Look at me. I'm prestidigious. I can see my future. One shot, no response from the crew sounds. A second, sent down the enemy's way, and Sherman bounces a shot. Did that look like even a German 75? It looked German to me. I'm not sure what it was, but it looked German. Is that a little bit too obscure of a reference? Most of that's just inside my own head. Anyway, bomb explodes feet away. No damage to Tinygerman because, of course, bombs in War Thunder, lads and ladies. As a CAS pilot, I tell you, you have to do everything right, land the bomb on the enemy's cupola, and still hope for the best if you're going to get a bomb kill these days. But it still happens. And, as Pat has just told us, the enemy tank has been destroyed. And yet, do I see more sounds in our future? What do you mean I've already watched this video? Well, yeah. But I told you I'm getting old. I don't remember it. Anyway, the match is, honestly, for realsies this time, just about to end, as the enemy team gets completely wiped out. The Americans easily holding the field here as I hold back another cough. Opening up with the 50 cal on an aircraft that drops a bomb one trolley car too far from Tinygerman's position. Operating the roof-mounted AA. And is that enemy plane going to go down? You know what? Let's just pretend it did. I don't know. We're in cinematic mode, you know? Anyway, after all this, bouncing a few shots, none of them got through to the crew compartment. Tinygerman, a big winner in this round of just about the perfect match in War Thunder, in probably one of the most well-balanced and well-suited medium tanks in the game for its battle rating, and easy on the eyes too, if you hold the mustard. This paint job is just a little bit bold, but you know what? After a match like that, it starts to grow on you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time talking to you in this one-way conversation, and you are invited to make this a give and take by joining me on the Discord at Toshio Thunderzone, which is also a great place to send me your replays. I am still working on the War Thunder 2 Design Bureau section of the channel, so if you'd like to send in your recommendations, if you were able to make your own tank game, how would you make it? What things from War Thunder do you like? What things would you change? How would you adapt those things to deal with the issues in gaming today and make a fun, enjoyable, profitable, and popular experience, or just whatever you'd like to see? That's interesting to me, and one day I'll make all of that conversation into a video. Wouldn't it be cool to make your own video game? You know what? It's one of those things that I fantasize about just for fun. Not like I have the time to do that anytime soon. Tinygerman, killing time, killing the last enemy, and wrapping up the match. In any event, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I know Tinygerman did, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.